Hey guys, can you?
Think we're good
Yes,
now. Let me just get this video pulled up.
Much. That was worth raising your hand twice.
just give me a
Thank you for
thumbs up if
sharing
you
that
can hear me.
info. Super excited. I mean, we're
Can you
starting to
guys hear
see
the
energy like
video?
we haven't
Okay,
seen in
awesome.
forever. So it's
So,
super fun to watch
I
it
guess
actually
Rachel
happen.
is
Ellen and
going to
I,
be
Lawrence, all of us knew it was
taking
going
charge of the meeting tonight, and you guys. But um, when I listened to Lawrence's talk today, it was interesting because I've been talking to a lot of people over the last few weeks, and in my whole goal this, I guess, the next quarter for my business is to really simplify and really focus on that breakfast solution. And that was something I wanted to make it easier and duplicatable, especially for new promoters coming in and looking at Neolife as a business. Because I think what happens is some of us old timers that have been around for many, many years, we sometimes complicate things because we know too much about all the products and what products to recommend for all the health conditions. I just really appreciated the way Lawrence laid it out very, very simply. So I'm hoping that his little presentation today is going to help you guys out. So take it away, Rach.
All right. You guys can see that okay?
Hmm?
Yep. Okay.
Step ups in the month of March, and can't wait to see all the additional ones in April. It's getting really exciting. Back to you, Dwight.
Hey, thank you, Ellen, so much. That was worth raising your hand twice. Thank you for sharing that info. Super excited. I mean, we're starting to see energy like we haven't seen in forever. So it's super fun to watch it actually happen. Ellen and I, Lawrence, me up, but Lawrence Clark, come on.
Oh, yeah. I'm a junior, so which name do I go by? My middle name or my first? Well, I love the subject we're talking about because I'm just amazed at how God made our bodies, that they're wonderfully made, as it says, by Him. And it's our most important physical asset. As I tell people when I'm talking to them, trying to recruit them and talk about our products, that again, the most important physical asset anybody has is their body, because it is the only vehicle we will ever have to do the things we enjoy and to love the people around us that we care about. And so I love Neolife because it's the best way to do that. A lot of times when I'm having somebody try to recruit me from one of these MLMs that deal with, finances and things like that, buying Bitcoin, I like to always turn it around and say, oh, since you're making money, how much what are you investing in your health, since that's your most important physical asset, you know, and then try to talk to them about nutrition because it is so important, our health. It affects us and everyone around us. It cares about us. And I think the tips we're going to talk about today, the suggestions, can help you get more customers, keep more customers, and even if you do it right in helping them recommending products, it can help you have more people wanting to do this business. Because the biggest thing people are looking at when they're thinking about this business is, can I do it? And so we want to do this in a simple, duplicatable way of recommending products. And so the first thing I recommend, is we do our research by using the inviting formula, asking questions. Because again, and I love to tell people this when I'm talking about the inviting formula, don't ask someone, the way to avoid no's is don't ask someone if they want something unless they've already told you that they want it. Duh, of course that's going to help you get less no's. And so, and using that inviting formula, which, Josh did a video about it, and then I was glad Alan did a video about it. And if I remember, I'll try to put the links below this when we put it up in a comment on their YouTube. And I was glad Alan did one after Josh, because we need to get that it's part of us. It's like when somebody asks us, what's your birthday? What's your name? That you know that inviting formula very well. So I'm glad we've got two of them, because I think I'd love to do one again on one of these Fridays, because it's hard for me to keep hearing the same person sometimes, but if I can hear multiple people say it, sometimes they phrase something a little different. Plus, it just helps me to listen to it again. And as we all know, people don't care what you know about nutrition or anything unless they know you care about them. And that's what that inviting formula does if you learn to do it the right way and become skilled at it. And it's a skill of each step of connecting, etc. And that helps people when they see you listening to them. Again, it helps you with that principle. People like to buy from people who they like and care about. And so what do I suggest that you start someone off on? No matter what their health condition is, almost 90% plus of the time. I do want to get all that information, but no matter what they tell me, I want to say to them, I want to usually share the breakfast pack with them and talk about it, of why it's the foundation of everything, and really sell them on the pro-vitality of talking about that, this provides the 3 things that almost every large nonprofit health organization says we need to take and get more of in our diet, which is what? More whole grains, more fruits and vegetables, more omega-3 fish. Why? Because, and I tell them this, if you go and do research on PubMed, you can put almost any health condition in, and you will usually find there's research showing there's a deficiency of one of those 3 that's associated with people that have that condition. I remember spending almost one day just looking up omega-3 and I was just amazed. And as we know, that research that showed the foods that we're not getting in our diet that are causing the most early deaths and sickness were what? What does that research show? Number 1 was they weren't getting enough whole grains in America. And then again, fruits and vegetables and omega-3 was at the top 2. And so I say, let's get you started on this. And I say, and research also shows that most people aren't getting enough protein in their diet. Plus, I'm sorry. First, I like to say after doing the Pro Vitality is, would you like to save some money? Also, besides getting the Pro Vitality pack, well, we've got a meal replacement for, less than $4 a meal. And I don't know where you can get a meal for $4. It's healthy. And you can add this, save money, and get very important nutrition. Get some more vitamins and minerals. And research shows that most people aren't getting enough protein in their diet. And, that's especially true, just so you know, with older people and vegetarians. And so even though there's protein in vegetarian foods and everything, again, it's not getting enough quantity and quality. And so I say, hey, you can save some extra money and get more nutrition too, and have a great tasting meal. So I use it as saving money and helping them. And then I also sometimes ask them, what do you drink besides water? If you don't mind me asking. And then they tell me, and if they mention soda, I say, well, our scientists say one of the most important things you could do to improve your health, the number 1 suggestion they'd give besides adding things, is taking away drinking sodas. Because, of all the sugar content or artificial sweeteners with the dangers in them that science is starting to bring to light. Plus, sodas and things like that, it can mess up your calcium in your bones. And so I said, I've got a suggestion that you can take that's healthy for you and tastes great. And then I try to add the Elevate with the breakfast pack. That's what I think 90+% of the people, that's where you ought to suggest that their first step is taking this the first month. So why, again, why do I suggest that? I want to tell you a number of reasons why I think that's the best way to get somebody started the first month, unless they've told you they have digestion problems. If they have them really bad, then I might suggest, again, that might be those few people I suggest something else like the digestion aids but why do I try to keep the products very few at first? For a number of reasons. First of all, it helps them to see, and I say it to them, I want to try to save you money to spend as less possible and get the most benefits. And so this is what I suggest: the breakfast pack and Elevate. If they've told me they take other drinks, or, I might still suggest it if they don't, to say, if you'd like more, life is energy, right? When there's no energy in your body, you're dead. And so why not have more energy and have a great tasting drink, and try to get them to add the Elevate. Why? Because it does add a lot of extra nutrients, the Elevate, like D and B and some of those important amino acids. But I also do it because I know they'll tell a difference. And sadly to say, most people go by their emotions and want immediate gratification. So of course, it's nice for you to make some extra money to sell them that, but it gives them an effect that they can tell a difference. But we're doing it in a healthy way. And so one of the big reasons you got to remember to try to keep your products very few at the beginning, normally speaking, is avoiding buyer remorse. So many people, I've seen people, we used to, we would, when they would hear Lawson, they'd want everything. And they'd buy a whole lot of products, and then they'd spend all that money. And then the next day, the next week, they were going through buyer remorse, especially when they told their mate how much they'd sold. It produced a negative effect about Neolife at first sometimes. So you can avoid that by narrowing down at the beginning the products. If you've listened well to them talk about the products, then you can, sorry, we had some guests coming in if you hear some noise. Then it gives you a chance to come back later if you've listened well to their health problems. You can sometimes say, let's get you started with this. We have some programs to deal specifically with that clinified, certified clinical nutritionists have recommended also on top of this foundation to help with those problems. But a lot of times people are, their health problems, they're just amazed at how much is solved with just taking this. So let's see if that's enough. And I like to start people off slow anyway, because this is going to help detoxify you. So I want to do that slowly, these products, all of our products. And so let's start you off like this. And next month we'll talk to see if you need to add something or if this is enough to solve your problem. So that also gives you a chance, if you say it that way, gives you a chance and puts it in their mind, they might need more, but they see you're trying to save them money. And again, people don't care what you know unless they know you care about them. And that's showing you care about them. And it gives you a chance to add something in the future. So after you've done that, and again, using the training we've given you and other things of saying, when would you like to get started getting better health? Whatever term you're trying to use to help them. Then I suggest you say, after they've done the sales, after this is done, ask them, can I send you a link to listen to a video by a world-class nutritionist that's traveled and spoken and filled up rooms all over the world that I think you'll wish you'd heard his message 10 years ago. You'll just love it and be fascinated with how God made the human body and what he put in food to help us have the best health. Can I send you an audio that you can listen to while you're doing errands or driving? Now, and then I send them a Lawson audio. Now, why do I do that? Because again, a number of reasons. Number one, again, the next day, people doubt themselves, and their mate helps them doubt themselves that they shouldn't have spent all that money. And is this going to work? And if they can listen to that Lawson, it's going to confirm that, yes, man, I am so glad that, my friend told me about this. Oh, and so we know your mind affects things, right? That's why they do double-blind studies, because, they know that the mind is so powerful. And so you're helping people to notice what the products will do. And so, and I can just tell you, when we used to have meetings, and Lawson would do meetings in different cities, that city would explode of having more product shipped to it. They would say, wherever Lawson goes, more product goes. And so believe me, after they start listening to Lawson, they won't have buyer's remorse. They'll be saying, man, I need to buy more next month. So they'll be primed for you, and they'll sell themselves. And when they sell themselves to buy more products, they don't have the buyer's remorse. And so again, if you can use this system of being very simple at the beginning and then letting Lawson be the expert, the third party, you'll start selling more products. Now, of course, you have that choice of going in and sharing all that information. I mean, if you're like me, I just love listening to the SAB. They're my favorite person to listen to almost at every meeting I go to. I just love, seeing how the body was made by God and what he put in foods. But I realize that if I start spilling all that information, there's damage that I can cause to them and to others I won't reach. What do I mean by that? Is this, and it's your business, and I do it sometimes. I readily admit it. I love to share with them a lot of information. But one thing I want you to remember is never assume that the person you're talking to loves the subject as much as you do of nutrition. Never assume, like, I love the details. I'm not a detailed person except when it comes to the Bible and it comes to nutrition almost, and how to help people do this business. Otherwise, I try to tune out details. And so never assume that other person cares to hear about the details. A lot of people just want you to tell them the bottom line, what to take, and they want that conversation short. And I want you to remember this. 90% of your training of how to do this business is that talk, that first talk of telling them, suggesting what to take. Why do I say that's 90% of the training of how to do this business you're teaching them in that talk? Is because, again, they're looking at what you do to see if they can do what you do, or they're never going to want to do the business. So if you spout off all these nutritional facts, automatically they think, I don't know all that. And a lot of people say, I don't ever want to try to learn all that. I don't think I could. And you're going to lose them for the business. And not only that is this. If you lose them for the business, then I always envision that 5,000 that Jesus fed. When you start getting into nutrition and you stop the duplication, I just want you to realize it's your business, but when you stop that duplication by making this business too complicated in their minds, then it's like feeding the front row, those 5,000. Just a handful of the people are going to get that instead of passing it on to others and doing that so we can reach more people. And I know we all care about people. That's who we attract in Neo Life. And so if you care about people, you're going to want to simplify this business. Now, we've got people like Marjorie, Susan Adams, Jimmy Summers, and I could go on and on about the people that have gotten the extra training. And that's great. But they become less duplicatable. If people think, oh, I have to get a degree, I have to learn all that Marjorie learned. And Marjorie loves you coming to her and asking her questions. She just loves that, being able to connect with y'all and everything like that. But as you know, she gets so inundated, sometimes it takes a while before you get the answer. So that slows down your business. But it also, again, brings complication. And when you bring more, science has shown, research has shown, the more products, the more information can bring confusion. And when confusion happens and people have more choices, they buy less. That's just what research shows. If you do a table of something that has 6 samples of taste of a certain thing, flavors, or you have 26 will bring more people to that table. But you'll have less sales than if you had 6 and had less people coming, they show. So again, too much information, too many products recommended brings confusion and less chance of them buying and getting started on these life-changing products. So if you're going to use and go in deeper, again, wait to after they've started the basics, then say later on, if this isn't enough, I can get you on the line with Marjorie, somebody that knows a lot of the top scientists, or Susan Adams, one of these other people. You can tell them that. That's great. But keep it in reserve. Say, let's see if this is enough. And if not, I can get them on a week. I can share those programs. And it's better just to first say I can share the programs, because again, that's more duplicatable. You might know Marjorie and feel comfortable calling her, but some of your people won't when they start the business, because they haven't got to know Marjorie. They haven't gotten to see how much she loves people and loves talking about nutrition and so wise. And again, if you're going to use somebody, then at least, I'd rather you wait till seeing if that's not enough and they want more information later on, the 2nd or 3rd month. So, but at least if you're going to get somebody on the line with somebody, then I would suggest saying to them, so you understand the basics, listen to this 3-minute message. And I don't know if you know it on your website, if you put Pro Vitality on your website and copy the URL, you can send to somebody and that video is there. And it's tied to you, that 3-minute video. You can say it's halfway down the page, the video of the Pro Vitality or the breakfast pack one. They've got a video there. Or you can use the 6 criteria video, but have them listen to something before they talk to someone. That way they're hearing 2 people, they're being sold by 2 people. There's 2 or 3 witnesses. Plus they do have more knowledge when they get to that. So even before you use somebody, do that, which again, I want to say again, I hope you'll wait to the 2nd or 3rd month in case that's not enough. And what this also does, it gets people on the product longer and puts a carrot out there in front of them. And you've said you might need more, but let's see if this is enough. And so again, these are just some tips that I hope have helped you, and I think will help you to get more customers, keep customers longer, and hopefully getting people to do, the business. And I want to close out saying just a couple of things. That 2nd month, if you need to call them and talk to them, and they haven't gotten the results they want, then you can tell them, I like to use the illustration, say, these products are sort of like drilling for oil or building a bridge. You can just be a few inches short and the results you don't get the results you want. And I remember when I sent, somebody in our downline, a number of levels down, they listened to Lawson. They got on the products. They had some big health problems, a large variety of health problems, and in their family. And they weren't getting results. But they listened to Lawson, so they called me up and they said, I know these are the best products in the world, and it must be I'm just not taking enough of them to get the results I want. What do I need to take? So again, I'm using that to show you how important it is to send the Lawson thing to them. And I sometimes use to people also another tip is to say to people, hey, if they're not getting the results they want, say, we're having a meeting, a retreat, a summit, and we have the top scientists in the world that you can walk up and talk to. You can't, these are people you can't get an appointment with, like with your doctor. These are the people that are doing the cutting edge research that doctors don't even know about yet. And they can help you, and I'll be glad to walk up and introduce them to you, and you can ask them a question about your health situation. So again, that can help people hang in there longer. And it's duplicatable, inviting people to a meeting and introducing them. And so I appreciate all of y'all so much for taking time to listen to this. Again, it just shows you care about people and want to help people have better health. And I do want to shout out to Jamie Summers, happy birthday, and anybody else that's having a birthday today. So I'll stop there to keep my time. I went a little past it, but hopefully it was worth it.
Lawrence, thank you so much. So many
All right.
golden.
Can you guys hear me? Yes?
Can you hear
Yes,
us?
yes, yes.
Okay, I can hear you. You know what? I have my headset on, and for
Yay!
some reason the headset's working, so I have to figure out how to switch it after. So it's okay as long as I can hear you, because I love hearing your voices. So when I was listening to Lawrence today, and many of many of us have been around for many, many years, and it's so easy for us to want to recommend products to help people with all of their health challenges and all their health problems. And I love the way he just simplified and said, and we've been talking about the core nutrition, right? We've kind of made that shift to breakfast solution, unless again, there's going to be the odd time where they have serious digestive issues, then we might have to look at that. And I love the way he says after they've signed up and got started, before they've even received their order, send them something to listen to. And I did find the Don Lawson on YouTube. So far, that's the only one that I found. So I think the Wisdom Builders in their back office, I think they have other Don Lawson audios that they've taken from previous, you have to remember Don Lawson. Some of you that don't know Don Lawson, Dr. Don Lawson was he had a doctoring degree in nutrition. Okay, so he wasn't a doctor. We used to call him Dr. Don only because he was so incredible. And he, in 3 months after being married, and I think he was 18 or 19 years old, was got polio. And he was completely paralyzed in an iron lung. And they told his wife to basically leave him. He'll never, ever walk again. He'll never come out of this. So he was in the hospital, and she kept going to the hospital, and she literally took him home with an iron lung and took him home and took care of him for 10 years, completely paralyzed, did everything for him. She went to a meeting, a nutrition meeting, and she went to a Shaklee meeting, believe it or not. Some of you know Shaklee. And she bought some supplements, and she bought vitamin E, pure wheat germ oil vitamin E. Back then, Shaklee had a pure wheat germ oil vitamin E. And when she gave him the vitamin E, he felt sensation and warmth and heat in his veins. So that's when she knew that there was a possibility of him healing. So anyways, long story short, eventually he switched over to Neolife because Shaklee decided to switch over to not 100% whole food. They went from some natural sources, but not within the human food chain. And Don Lawson heard about GNLD, Neolife, got on the products. For 10 years, he took the Neolife products. He started to walk. He got his doctoring degree verbally, and he traveled all over the world for Neolife. I think for about 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 25, Heather, what do you think? Do you remember? I think around 20 or 25 years. We'll have to look back. So when I went to my first Don Lawson meeting in Toronto, I remember people lining up well after the meeting. They would line up for over an hour waiting in line to talk to Don. He could tell just by looking at your eyes. Incredible man. He's been at my home, and all his fine motor skills came back when not as, which one is, I get mixed up now. When you can, he couldn't hold like the stem of a wine glass, but he can hold a big cup. So all his fine motor skills didn't come back, but his large motor skills did. I think that's the right scenario. So anyways, And if you were to ask him how many supplements he took, he would say, Nada, I rattle when I walk. That's all he would say. So I remember talking to his wife, and many of you have met Carol Lawson. She's come to many of our conventions, and you know, they didn't give him a year. Okay, and he traveled all over the world, country to country, to do meetings for us. Now, he would not be allowed to say what he says now. What he did say at the front of the room, we're very lucky. So when you guys talk to us and ask us, well, what should I take for this, or what, that's because of what we learned from Don. Okay, because I remember people would line up that had severe asthma, respiratory problems. He'd say 10 vitamin A. And if you were to tell anybody else, you know, that, oh, this man told me to take 10 vitamin A, they go, oh, that'll build to toxic levels. That's dangerous. And Don Lawson will go, well, no, ours is water miscible. It does not store in the body. So he was like, this is where we learned a lot of the language, because our scientific advisory board, they're not allowed to recommend and tell us what products to take. Okay. So we have learned through experience over the years through Don Lawson, and because it's nutrition and food, he knew that it was safe to recommend to higher amounts and higher doses. So when you do hear Don Lawson, when you pull up some of his audios, don't be afraid of some of the product recommendations, because he has, oh my gosh, I remember people that have had like serious health conditions, and he just made some incredible Neolife recommendations and turned their health around completely. So again, it doesn't cure the condition, but it's amazing when you give your body the right nutrients, right? So that being said, now what Lawrence does is he uses Don as like almost like third party, rather than, you know, when they get signed up and they're getting on a breakfast solution, and if they have serious health issues and they start to listen to Don and some of the other products he talks about, they're going to come to you and say, I think I need to add this. What do you think about me adding this? Right? Rather than you saying, oh, they really should be taking this on top of their, you know, their program. Because if they start educating themselves and realizing that they need more than just what's in that breakfast solution, they're making that decision, and they're not going to have that buyer's remorse. Okay. So that's what I got from him. Anything? Yes, Heather?
Yeah. So we used to say, where Don Lawson goes, product flows. And because you're absolutely right. And that's how I learned so much. I remember going down to Mississauga to the meetings at what was then our warehouse in the meeting room, and or in a hotel nearby. And that's how I learned about vitamin B. So I said, I think I need to add more vitamin B. You know, I learned about the digestive products. I think I better start that. You know, the aloe, oh my gosh, you know, so big on that. So that's what happens when, if you listen to the experts, then you start to make your own decisions about, oh, that rings a bell. That's what I think I'll try that. And because it's food-based, of course, you feel very safe in taking it. I personally, I'm just going to put this in there because we do want to be duplicatable, and because everybody doesn't know Don Lawson and they won't have a chance to meet him, but they will have a chance to meet our scientific advisory board. And in the YouTube videos, there's a whole section just with scientific advisory board videos. You know, I have no problem in sending a scientific advisory board video, or, you know, a very short video clip, or the blog written by the scientific advisory board. So I would use them. They are our current sources, and they are the ones that we build on. So that's just my 2 cents.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's great, Heather. And some of us that are comfortable using Don Lawson, I would recommend Patients just posted Science of Optimal Health by Don Lawson in in our messenger group. Give it a listen, and you'll know if it's appropriate to send that to the individual. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Like when you know my testimonials with Lori and Sheila, my 2 rheumatoid arthritis, where they were actually almost in a wheelchair, crippled with arthritis. If they would have just taken 3 omega-3 salmon oil, they would have not got the results that they got. So when they came to see Don Lawson,
Don Lawson told him to take 12 a day. 12 salmon oil a day. I was not comfortable with that. I was new to Neolife, but after hearing Don Lawson talk about omega-3 and reducing inflammation, and the way he explained it to me was when you were to, he would hold their finger and he would squeeze, and he goes, "Do you feel that heat? Do you feel the heat?" And you could feel the heat in their joints. There was so much heat. He goes, "That's inflammation." He goes, 3 fish oil, that's not going to get it. It's not going to nip it in the butt. It's not going to get anywhere near that joint. He said, so you take 12 a day and see what happens. And then you can back down when the inflammation starts to come down. So he started, recommending that to people in my life. And when I saw the turnaround with both, and you guys hear Lori's testimonial and Sheila's testimonial, I mean, they started with the high doses because they've met Don Lawson. So that's why when we're meeting people through the field, I'm comfortable saying, look, let's start with 3 a day, but, let's do this for a few months. And if they're comfortable and they trust you, eventually they'll bump it up until get the results, right, that they're looking for. Okay, I think Francis, you and Tibor had that same experience with your husband, right? He started with 3 a day, and I think we increased it, right, to get the results that he was
Yeah,
looking for,
he was
right?
taking 6
Mhm.
6 to reduce his arthritis, and then it worked.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's why, yes, we can start with the basics. Always start with the basics. And that's what we did with Francis initially, right? Something simple, the basics, right? And we targeted digestion initially for Francis because she had digestive trouble, got the results, and then we started focusing on other things. But when you're meeting new people, and you're just sharing Neolife, the breakfast solution, keep it simple. Get them started on something as simple as that. And then, I'm going to listen to this, the SoundCloud that patient sent and see if this is the one that I used, because I know I used to listen to Don Lawson all the time, patients. And I'm so grateful that they've got it. They're starting to transcribe. I think Marjorie, I think in her Wisdom Builders, I think that they've started to switch or to take some of the audios and put them, or videos and put them on audio for us. So I'll have to find out where those are. And but these are 2 that you can listen to. I think that you'll have a better understanding if it's a tool, again, just a tool, right? That you can use to help support.
I think now too, yeah, we can, because we grew up with Dr. Don Lawson, right? And I think he actually did have a PhD in nutrition. So I think he did really have the entitlement to a doctor, but yeah, so because it's different. It's not what we are used to with our other scientists and stuff. But yeah, he's just so full of energy and
he was amazing. And I think they weren't allowed to call him doctor when he was, because they hired him as a consultant. So he wasn't allowed to use that doctorate title when we introduced him, but we all knew that he had a PhD.
Yeah.
And he did all of his exams verbally. He could not hold a pen.
Yeah.
And all by memory. He had a photographic memory. Like, this guy was incredible. Like, he really, and very, very faith-based. Just a beautiful soul. Beautiful soul. Yeah, we love Don. Sean, did you meet Don Lawson when he was part of our company? I'm trying to remember if you were around. No, not during that time. Shelley?
I was around, but I wasn't. I was around for 27 years now, but I didn't. I don't think I met him. I might have met him when I went to Florida that time, but I mean that was like the first year I was involved, I think.
Oh yeah, he would have been at that convention. Yeah, he was just incredible. Any questions from some of the newbies? Because I know some of you guys that are fairly new. How did you feel about that? Simplifying and making it simple. And Rachel, how are you feeling? And we have Francis and Tracy, some of the newer promoters.
I guess one question kind of came up when I listened to that last week, because I've recently had a few people who've come to me with inflammatory problems, and I've gone, I mean, it still kept it simple, but I've gone down the route of suggesting the salmon oil and suggesting they start like by taking 3 a day. But I'm just wondering if instead of doing that, like if they would be better off to do the Pro Vitality instead and then add on more salmon oil later and just, you know, put that bug in their ear that that might be something that we look at in the future. If we're specifically targeting inflammation.
Right. And the reason why we're looking at either Pro Vitality and Breakfast Solution is that you're getting that grain oils into them, right? You're getting the TRNN, you're getting the carotenoids, you're getting that core base nutrition that they can build on. And the Breakfast Solution is definitely the ideal because you're getting also the important properties of protein. But if it's affordability, definitely a Vitality Pack. And then, yes, adding extra salmon if you're looking at specifically inflammatory issues. Absolutely.
Okay, so if that's the case, then would you go ahead and right away and say like do the Pro Vitality and the extra salmon oil, or
so
just
kind of telling them
case by case?
Let them make that decision. So what I've done with I think we did that just the other day with Cindy, right? Cindy, we were doing I think a one-on-one with somebody, a three-way chat.
Yeah.
And we recommended, we did the presentation, talked about Pro Vitality, and then we just said, and the study that was done on the salmon oil was 3 salmon oil a day is where it was published to reduce inflammation 68% in just 8 weeks. So we can definitely start with Vitality, and down the road we can add salmon oil, or if you're comfortable getting started now, you can. You let us know where you would like to start and what you feel comfortable starting. And they decided, no, I think we need to add the extra salmon. So they did. So there's not that buyer's remorse. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
This was the study, but we could start here and see how you feel, give it a month or two, and then we can, you know, maybe have a chat in a month or two and just see where you're at. And then we can decide at that point, if you feel comfortable adding more salmon oil, then let's do it. Or if you'd like to get started now, it's totally up to you, whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Awesome.
Okay, remember that because I have the same situation. I talked to somebody today, so this is really good. It's the exact same. I have inflammation, although she just had a hysterectomy. So I was like, ooh, and she has an HRT patch. And so I'm like, but she's really young too.
That's
so
okay. Yeah, salmon oil is still going to be her best friend, right? Because reducing inflammation is going to be the key, right?
I'm hoping she's going to come on at 8, so we'll see.
Okay, awesome.
Sorry,
Heather?
Nada.
Sorry, who?
I like how you phrased it, where you told them to get started on just the Vitality Pack, the Breakfast Solution, the Pro Vitality, but explained to them that it would be better if they took some extra salmon oil, but they could do it down the road. But I like how because then they came to that decision themselves. So in a way, you sort of put the bug in their ear, but you made them come to the decision themselves, right? So in the end, they went with the 3 per day. So you said, you know, what do you think about what he said? I like what Lauren said. I agree with everything he said, but I just have some doubts because if they take it and it doesn't resolve their issue, I'm afraid then they will, you know, think it's not going to work, right? That's why I like what you did, and you sort of got them to come to that on their own, to take the extra. But you see, even Lawrence said he likes to get them to buy the Elevate because that has an immediate effect. And unfortunately, people need to see that. And with the other vitamins, right, it takes time because it's natural. It takes time, and you might need more. So so again, I like the way you did it because you got them to come to that decision, but they made the decision. But you got them where you wanted them, but they made the decision themselves.
Yeah, because people don't.
But
like
with your persistence, right? So we do have to, I think, tell them,
it would be better if you took 3 a day, or you can even take more. You'll see better, quicker results. So I think that even though we are trying to solve them with the foundational of just Pro Vitality and maybe just the breakfast solution, I think we still need to put that bug in their ear that they may need
Plant the
more,
seed.
and
That's right,
somehow
plant the seed.
somehow get them to on their own,
Yes,
even in the first session, decide
That's
to
right.
maybe get the Pro Vitality and buy a bottle of salmon oil. You know what I'm saying?
Or,
So that they
again,
could
if they make, but if they make a decision to get it next month, that's okay, because they know that they might not be getting the results they're looking for. They already understand that. Okay?
yeah,
And there was
okay.
we only have a few minutes, so Tracy, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because like the Vitality Pack, I think it's such a unique combination that no matter who takes it, I think they will
Mhm.
automatically feel something, maybe not
Mhm.
directly related to, say, inflammation or their particular problem. But I think what's cool about the Vitality Pack is it kind of gives like a little bit of the top 4 areas that most people are somehow deficient in. And so by taking these 4, they could then pinpoint what they need more of. I think it's actually the Vitality Pack is a very good place to start, and then add in your Elevate and your extra
Elevate.
salmon oil, as I ran to before we signed in.
That's awesome. Excellent. Anybody, there was somebody else? Heather, did you have another?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if they're really having trouble making a decision, and if it does come down to price, then you can cut it back one more level and say N and the salmon oil, right? If you take out of that Vitality Pack, what's really going to make the difference? It is the N. They will find their energy comes with that N. It could be 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks. And I always remind them that it does. And for myself, it was 5 weeks. I remember it was week 5. So that's past the first month. And we have a 90-day satisfaction guarantee because it does take time. So we prepare them for that. But that's what's going to give them the energy boost. Some people feel it right away. For others, it's going to be 2 months. But those 2 products are going to deal with what they're looking for, the energy and the salmon oil. And the Elevate, of course, throw that in. It's just, like I say, it's instant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, I'm going to have Rachel stop the recording only because I want to talk a little bit about retreat before we head over to the other side.